So I actually went ahead and actually did mine. Right, I didn't manage to copy the whole thing, but I actually worked on it. And so what I want to do is I'm gonna also read mine, and you guys are gonna analyze my writing. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of analysis today as well. So we'll say, for example, my story is about these themes. It's these ideas, right? Based on these ideas, why have I written it with these techniques here? Why are the sentences like this? Why are the metaphors, or why have I used these metaphors? Why have I used this particular narrative perspective, and so on? And I want you guys to think about why I've chosen specific things for this specific story, so that you guys can think about the same thing and at the same time understand how analysis should work, right? So analysis is not just, I just find techniques, but it's more about, okay, this particular author is writing about these ideas. They've used these techniques. Why have they used these techniques for this particular idea? Why have they chosen that? Like, why might the author think that this is the best method for this particular message, this particular story, this particular article, speech, etc., etc.? Does it make sense? Right. So I want you guys to be going through that sort of like mental process, right? Jachindu, that's amazing progress, man. Absolutely amazing. Honestly, it's really, really amazing progress, guys. And that's the thing, guys. I want you just to try to appreciate I'm hoping that everybody's at least got something that they can see is starting to take shape. That's what I want you guys to do. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't worry that I'm not 100% happy with it right now, right? Just keep going, okay? Cool. Right, we're going to try and do a bit of writing today. But before we do that, okay, I'm going to read mine to you. I'll read a little bit of it from the beginning, right? I think what I need to do here is I need to remind you guys of what's happening in my story, right? So remember, you guys probably know by now, right? She's a rebellious girl, naughty, she's rebellious at the beginning, blah, 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 all that stuff. She gets told by the authorities, her dad gets told by the authorities. By the way, her mother's been arrested. She's in prison. She's kind of embarrassed about that. That's part of why she's acting out. She's doing all sorts of naughty stuff. Like I've got this one part in the beginning where she puts this gadget on one of the AI robots. The AI robot police are called guardians. Okay, it's ironic. So there's irony in the name, the guardian, right? Because they're not really guardians. They're more like oppressors. Right. So it's just an ironic name. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, I'll read mine, and then I want you guys to look at the techniques that I've used. And I want you to try and tell me why you think I've chosen these particular techniques for this particular story. Okay. I want you guys to tell me that. Okay. So yeah. So anyway, she does things like she's got this gadget she puts on a guardian, and it makes the guardian, it basically hacks the guardian. And it makes the guardian do like overly kind things like helping old people and stuff like that. It's kind of like a comical moment, right? She's hacked the system. Anyway, so she gets caught doing this because some of the community, and this is the thing about my society, right, is that you'd think that all of the humans would work together to get rid of the oppressive AI, right? But they don't. Some humans only look out for themselves, and they actually work with the oppressive AIs as long as it preserves them. So she gets reported by part of the community, right? She gets reported. The guardians go to her dad's house and say, right, your daughter has to go for re-education to a reform academy. She kind of complies at the beginning. Her dad is driving her there. And then she's like, no, I'm not going to do this. And she tries to jump out the car. And then he grabs her. They have an accident. She dies and she comes back, right? In the future, he chooses to bring her back as an AI robot. I will read part of it. Okay, and this is where she is waking up. Okay, she's just waking up. So try and understand what's going on in there, right? And then I'm going to ask you to look at the techniques that I've used and why you think I've done them and what effect you think it's got, because I want you to think about the same thing when you're writing. Okay, right. So this is where she's waking up, right? I hope it's okay. A low hum fractures the endless dark. Restory A034, negative. Every now and again, garbled voices seem to pierce through, only to be consumed by the void. Cognitive scan complete. Open your eyes. No response. Whirring, thrumming, humming, like distant engines underwater, fading in and out, melting into black and back again. Motor function complete. Another voice. Personality index stable. Restory A034. Open your eyes. I drag my eyelids open. Hard white light rushes in. Shapeless figures, flashes of metal moving in the glare, clinking metal hands and faceless faces, a blur inside a seamless white shell. Straining through the bright whiteness, I begin to make out beings checking, recording, scanning. Their movements mirror their words, clinical, precise, efficient. Restoration complete. More entities drift into view, some watching, others indifferent, their eyes all hollow. The chamber is bordered in curved white panels, seamless edges coated in a soft, false glow, immaculate but alien. Beneath the whirring and grinding, a melody plays, soft and inoffensive, but also cheap like an afterthought. Above the exit marks I feel I should know, the meaning teases at the edge of memory. REBIRTHCHAMBER, number 3. Before I can make sense of it, one of the things thrums forward, its feet clinking on the tiles before a pixelated sound. Restory A034, proceed to departure chamber. Your recovery is complete. You'll be transferred to your designated residence. This unit will escort you. You will comply. Am I Restory A034? I do as I'm told, allowing myself to be led from this pristine prison, the rattling of metal feet on the floor echoing somewhat recognizably now along the perfect white corridors. We leave the sterile building and step into the dark, not the deep dark from before, but a thinner kind, soft with liquid falling everywhere, dripping, streaming, slipping off metal and stone. We wander winding streets past windows lit like lanterns, alleys glowing. I see others moving, creatures softer, shapes unfamiliar, not like the ones taking me, more fragile. What are those, I ask? Humans, one says, voice clipped. How strange, I murmur before I can stop myself. We reach a front door and one of the escort units turns, Restory A03, or present for animal scan. A strip of ivy blue shimmers over my body, a line by line, rippling, then gone. The machine buzzes, confirmed, proceed, before the doors slide open, smooth and silent. Inside, a man chuckles gently to himself in the kitchen, his back turned, a mug clinking. He seems lost in thought as he begins heading towards an open space with soft seats. Our presence must have startled him because he suddenly pivots towards us with a jolt, eyes wide, lips parting, but no words. The mug slips from his hands, falling before smashing to the floor, shattering the stretched silence. A question seems to slip off his tongue, slow, brittle, and a little lost. Seren? All right. So that's the story. Okay, right. So let's quickly go through it, right? Yes, right. Exactly. So Mesa, you picked that up, right? First person. Exactly. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. I am trying to achieve the effect of you as the reader feeling as if you are this character. I'm trying to transport you into this fictional world where you, it's not Seren, it's you, your experience in the world, right? I got this idea from, what's it called? The Hunger Games. That's written from the first person, right? Yes, exactly, right? So, for example, right? So in the first person, I want you to experience what this character is experiencing, right? But I've also chosen another technique to complement that, right? Which is, as you say, Mesa, very good. I have chosen present simple tense, right? It's a little bit technical because there's different types of present, right? There's present continuous, right? Present continuous is like we are talking right now. We are learning, we are doing it. It's right now, right, that I'm saying this. But when you use the present simple tense, it's more like it's ongoing, right? It's ongoing. So let me ask you this, right? I've used the first person because I want you to be in my character's mind, right? I want you to be in their mind. So why then have I chosen the present simple tense to complement that? Because I want you guys to think about, it's not just like we said before, it's not just a technique. It's actually a spider's web. The techniques work together. Even when you're analyzing, same thing. You try and pick that up, right? So why have I chosen to use the present, the first person narrative perspective and the present simple tense, the ongoing present? Why do you guys think I've done that? Because obviously when you guys are analyzing, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
So it's because then so then the reader, the audience, they can like try predict the future of what may happen and the possibilities of risk somehow.
I mean, you definitely want your characters, your readers to think about what's going to come up, right? So you definitely gonna have things like foreshadowing and stuff like that. Maybe I think Jajindo, I think but you're. I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, at the end of the day, look, when you guys are analyzing, you just have to write what you think makes sense, right? So that could make sense when you're analyzing it, Chidindo as well, to feel like a never-ending story. Yeah, I think you're on the right track. It's because what I want is I want the reader to feel like the story is unfolding in real time. It's happening right now. Right? I'm reading it, and this is and you are becoming the character now, and I'm trying to get you to connect to that. Okay, next thing quickly. If you notice what I'm doing here, right? Look at the sentences. And actually, if I zoom out, you might get a feel of what I'm saying, right? Exactly, Mesa. I want the reader to feel like it's unfolding in real time, right? So the first person narrative perspective is one aspect of that. The present simple tense, the reason why I've chosen it, I'm trying to get it to complement the first person. And when you guys are analyzing, that's exactly what the authors are trying to do. They're trying to get techniques to complement each other and to work together to amplify the technique, sorry, the effect. See what I'm saying? Right? One more thing quickly, right? If you have a look at my sentences, right, I'm going to just zoom out so you can see. If you look at my sentences here, what do you notice about these sentences here versus, let's say, these ones here, like generally speaking? What do you notice about them? What do you guys notice? Look at the sentences just visually here versus here. What do you notice about them? Okay, I'll give you a hint, right? Exactly right. These ones here, notice how short they are. See that? See? And then look at these ones, they're much longer. Why have I done that? Think about what's happening to think of the character. Exactly, Tyre. Exactly. She's confused. She's just woken up. She's just woken up from being dead. All right. Like she's just come. Yeah, exactly. They are simple sentences. She's just coming back into this world. She doesn't know what's going on. She's like her senses are starting to come back. Exactly. She's coming to her senses. Okay. And even here, for example, yeah, look, inside a man chuckles. Who is this man? Who is he? Who's the man? It's her father. It's her father. But she doesn't know. She doesn't know who he is. Do you see what I'm saying, right? So exactly, she doesn't know yet who he is. So the point is this, is that now obviously I've taken this snippet from stage 2, okay? In stage 1, you will understand that he's a father. So the point is that after stage 1, there will be a sense of dramatic irony. Because the reader's like, that's your dad. Why are you calling him the man? Exactly. Right. You're absolutely correct. I do want there to be mystery. Right. I'm also trying to create a sense of dramatic irony because the reader knows if they'd read the first stage, they would know that's your dad. Why are you calling him the man? Exactly. Right. Because I want them to keep reading. I want them to keep reading. Right. I'll be honest with you. It was a real challenge to get this thing to work. Right. It's a real challenge. Anyway. So do you guys understand how I made those choices? Do you get it? Yes, exactly. Exactly, Mesa. Brilliant, right? The dramatic irony keeps the reader reading, right? And it's sort of like I want you as the reader to want the character, the protagonist, to understand. It's like, that's your dad. Like, don't you get it? Like, what's going on with you? Come on, understand, right? And then obviously later on, there's going to be a flashback. And then she'll start to realize, oh my gosh, what am I? All right, cool. All right. So guys, but the point is this. Here's the point, because we could go through other things. There's metaphors and all sorts of other things in there, right? It's easier for them to understand what's going on. They might understand faster than the protagonist. Yeah, they're more condensed in the second part. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly, right? So as the character is starting to come to her senses, she's starting to pick up on, oh, there's this and there's that. I'm hearing these sounds and these things walking around and they're doing this and they're doing that. So the sentences start to become more detailed and longer. Okay. I'll show you one more trick quickly. I'll show you one more trick, right? Because the sentences are, because they're so short at the beginning, right? What I felt when I was reading it is I felt that it could create a little bit too much of a disjointed feeling, right? So there's a couple of things I did to try and break up this feeling of disjointedness, because You don't want to overwhelm your reader with this feeling like, okay, stop, start, stop, start. Okay, that is effective depending on how you do it and to a certain limit, but you don't want it to be continuously, right? So this is what I did, right? First of all, you see there are a whole bunch of broken sentences here, okay? So what I did was I started with a little sensory description. I'm talking about the sound, right? Because I'm thinking that when you're asleep or when you're not conscious, the first thing you're going to hear is the sound, right? And then these fractured sentences represent her lack of consciousness. She doesn't really know what's going on just yet, right? Okay. And I break that up with a little bit more description to give the reader a little bit more context of what's going on, right? Another thing that I've done, which you might not, I don't know if you picked up on this, right? Is I try to use a technique called assonance. Okay, so like we've got techniques like alliteration, which is like repetition of like sounds at the beginning of the words, right? There's another technique called assonance. Okay, anybody know what assonance is? Does anybody know what technique this is? Anybody know? Assonance is like an internal rhyme. It's where you have like a vowel sound in the middle. Yeah, it's more like in the middle, right? So if you have a look here, whirring, thrumming, humming, right? Like distant engines underwater, fading in and out, fading into black and back again, right? You can see here, I've deliberately used a type of repetition. See that? Fading into black and back again. Even there, if you notice, I'm trying to use a little bit of an internal rhyme and repetition. Okay, black and back again, right? Whirring, thrumming, humming, and I've used 3 as well, okay? And I'm using onomatopoeia because she's hearing the sounds before she becomes conscious. Yeah. So I'm trying to use these sort of like internal rhymes to reflect this sort of like rhythmical but strange sound of the machines. Okay. And also just to break up this this sort of like stop, start structure of sentences, to break it up. Right. And then here, to break that up even further, I've written like a fairly long sentence. Lots of irony, faceless faces, for example, right? Coated in a soft, false glow, immaculate but alien. It's like irony, duality, right? You guys want to think about this as well. Duality and irony are very important. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell the AI to ask you guys. But you get what I'm saying, right? So you can do little tricks like that as well, just to give your language a little bit of rhythm, okay?